This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. The New England Patriots lost their Week One game, the home opener against the Miami Dolphins, 17-16. Was a tough game, was a close game, but a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. We'll have it all covered here in today's episode. I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace? It's
going good. Frustrating ending, I'd say, for most Patriots fans. We had that one, but we'll get into it. We finally had it. We talked about it for so long, football being there. We finally have it. We have it again on Sunday. So no time to waste. Let's get right into this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a frustrating game, but football's back, so it's hard to be too upset.
For sure. Well, let's jump right into it. Obviously, final score, Miami just edges out New England in a heartbreaker, 17-16 at Gillette Stadium. Cole, you were there. You said the energy was great. Said that there was constant times where players were on the sidelines hyping up the fans, trying to get the crowd into it. And I think that I saw on the TV, at least, the crowd was into it. Like Pat's Nation showed out. So it was good to see that. But what were your takeaways from the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to touch on that, the atmosphere was absolutely electric the entire game. I mean, packed stadium, sold out crowd at Gillette. Great to see. No fans for an entire year last year. I mean, you could really see everybody really missed it. The players missed having fans back. Fans missed being back in stadiums and supporting the team. But yeah, it was awesome. It was good to see. Every third down, fans were, going crazy, being loud, trying to mess with the communication for the Dolphins. That home field advantage was definitely there on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So yeah, the atmosphere was awesome. But just to have football back was great to see, great to watch, and see a lot of these new pieces in action. We've been wondering for so long, how's Matt going to do? How are these new pieces going to fit? We hadn't seen a lot of Jonnu and hadn't seen any of Hunter Henry at all because of injuries and stuff like that. So seeing them on the field together for the first time and just all these different pieces, the revamped defense, the revamped offense, it was great to see. Just a little taste in the beginning of what this team is going to be this year.
For sure. And, seeing those guys step on the field, especially one for me was Nelson Agholor stepping out there. And he played a pretty good game. We'll get more into that later in the good, bad, and injured. But for us not knowing if he was going to play going into Thursday, it was great to see him out there. And he led the team in receiving yards, I'm pretty sure. He was
5 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown.
There we go. Trying to pull it up. Yep. 5 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. And, I think he made some big-time catches. He obviously had Mac Jones's only touchdown throw, first one of his career. But there were other big ones down the sideline. I have a couple clips that I'll pull up when we get into Mac Jones also. But he showed out. He showed why we paid him the money. He's a vertical threat. He runs good routes. And if he can keep the drops to a minimum, unlike what he did in Philadelphia, more like what he did last year in Vegas, he's going to be a hot commodity for us for the next 4 years or 3 or 4 years, however long we signed. 2, was it 2?
2 years. Yep.
2 years. Yeah. I wish we had him for 3. Maybe he'll wear out, but it was good seeing him out there along with the other guys stretching the field. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. We saw the versatility that McDaniels is going to use with them. I think one of the first couple plays of the game, you see a fly sweep with Jonnu Smith. I think you saw him line up in the backfield a couple times, motion out of it, but there's endless possibilities with a skill set, or a guy with the skill set of Jonnu Smith. And then Hunter Henry's a great addition, over the middle of the field. So I love seeing those new guys on offense and defense in action.
Yeah, especially like you said, not knowing if Nelson Agholor was going to be on the field. That number one receiver we signed in free agency, we don't really have a true number one. Everybody says we don't really have any insane wide receiver threats, but that top guy that we signed in free agency, not having him week one with Mac Jones starting, the rookie quarterback, against a great Miami defense, that would have been not the best case scenario. So seeing him be able to be healthy and go out there and actually make an impact was great to see, because I was starting to get a little concerned with him. Preseason, we didn't see him much, and then when we did see him, he wasn't creating much separation. You saw in practice later towards the end of the summer, you heard reports he wasn't really doing as well as he was early in the summer. So yeah, seeing him and then seeing Jonnu, Hunter Henry, those guys making plays and being involved. It was great. I agree with you. I think having a guy like Jonnu Smith, he's somebody I'm so excited about this year because what we saw was just a taste of what he can do this year for us and how Josh McDaniel is going to be able to use him as a chess piece in this offense. We saw him, like you said, take that sweep early in the game. It was only for like 5 to 7 yards, but that's something that defense is going to have to pay attention to. Where's Jonnu? What's he doing? And every time he goes in motion, that's something they're going to have to account for. Is he getting the ball? Is he not? And you saw us fake it to Jonnu a couple times, and then he ended up going out for a route or going and blocking somebody or whatever. Just being able to use him in different ways is going to be huge for this offense, and it's going to add a lot of versatility to what we can do with this team.
For sure. Well, I kind of wanted to get into going off of our keys for the game from the preview episode, kind of what we did well and what takeaways we had, both positive and negative. So, Cole, I'll start with you. Just thinking off of what you said in our pregame episode, what are some of those things that stood out?
Yeah, so one of the main keys I had on both sides of the ball was dominating in the trenches. Both sides of the ball, the line of scrimmage. I thought defensively we did a good job of that. Tua had to get the ball out quickly. We did solid in the run game, except for late in the game when it really counted, which is tough. But I thought that was one thing we did really well. This front seven, I mean, it was making an impact, and you could see it often. We had a bunch of different guys, which we'll get into more when we get into the next segment. But a bunch of different guys making an impact and making different plays, making it hard on the quarterback to be able to sit back there, feel comfortable, and throw a ball. You know what I mean? He had to get the ball out quickly a bunch of different times. They put pressure on him. He ended up having to run around like a chicken with his head cut off and throw just a heave, and it ended up getting intercepted. So that was our only turnover of the game that we got. And it was caused by that front seven applying pressure to Tua and getting by those offensive linemen, all that stuff. So I thought that was one thing that we did good at. I will say the other side, dominating the trenches on the offensive line, I wasn't as impressed with what we did there. We lost Trent Brown, which was a big loss, and we'll get into that more. I don't think people really understand how big of a loss that was for us early in that game with a defensive line in Miami. That's really solid. So I thought we did good in the trenches on the defense side of the ball. I thought we could have done a little better on the offensive.
Yeah, for sure. And losing Trent Brown early, he only played 7 total snaps. You showed it on your Instagram story. First play of the game, the 35-yard run by Damian Harris goes right behind Trent Brown and Shaq Mason. And, we gash it 35 yards. And we had a couple other struggles in pass coverage once, Justin Herron. And then later he was replaced by Yasir Durant. So we had struggles there throughout the game. So offensive line, if he comes back healthy, which it doesn't sound like it's going to be too serious, that's huge for the offensive line. We got him back in the trade, and that's big. So you got something on the Trent Brown.
Yeah, that's one of the clips I was just going to pull up. So I'll go full screen on this one real quick, but just watch the right side of this offensive line. First play of the game, first play on offense. I mean, we got a great offensive line that's supposed to be doing big things this year, and just watch this right side of the offensive line. Watch Trent Brown. They'll show a couple replays, but just watch Trent Brown just moving. I mean, Christian Wilkins, one of their best defensive linemen, and Damian Harris takes advantage of it. But watch the hole that him and Shaq Mason split and create for Damian to run through. You could fit a bus through here.
Yeah, that's big time coming out. Your rookie quarterback.
Yeah, look at that. Look at all the space he has. You're running through there.
You get a 35-yard gain right off the rip. You're in the opponent's territory after one play. That's big time for, offensive side's confidence. So yeah, losing Trent Brown was, a huge loss for us early in the game. The thing that I was going to come back to, and we both talked about it, was the turnover margin. And unfortunately, we did not win that. We obviously know the 2 fumbles are very costly. The one thing that was impressive though, is Mac did not throw an interception. That first play was a little scary there for a minute, but he did not throw an interception. Threw a touchdown, but that turnover margin is what killed you. I mean, you don't want to say one play loses a game, and someone said it in their press conference, one play doesn't lose the game, but you're driving, you're in the red zone, and you fumble like that with 5 minutes left. It's tough to overcome that. And at that point, you just need a field goal to take the lead, and then you take the defense stop. Yeah, you hope the defense holds Miami. So the turnovers killed us right there. And then the other thing for me was scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Is we had too many drives stall, and we had to kick too many field goals. And give credit to Miami. I mean, they were second in red zone turnovers last year, and they did it again this year, and it came up big from it. It sealed them a win, and they held us to field goals, and that got them out of drives, and it's kind of that bend not break mentality that I said I wanted to see New England's defense have, but that kills you when you're having huge drives, taking off chunks of time, and then you only get 3 points out of it. So that for me was the biggest thing, was scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And then obviously we'll talk about this, but the penalties was a major issue. And that's unlike a Bill Belichick coach team. And I guarantee that they'll fix that. But to see that come out week one, it sucks because we had a lot of penalty yards.
And that was something that we saw the second team struggle with a little bit in the preseason as well. So hopefully that doesn't carry over, but we'll touch on that a little bit more coming up pretty soon. But yeah, to get back to that keys of the game that you were talking about, that was one of the biggest things that we're trying to hammer home, is the turnover margin. Whoever wins the turnover battle has a much higher chance of winning the game. I think we talked about it. You said 88% of the time was one of the stats from you guys.
Yep.
If you win the turnover battle, that's how often you win the game. So that's huge, especially with a team that wants to play like the Patriots want to play this year, especially with a rookie quarterback. You want to run the ball, play good defense, limit the scoring, kick. I mean, every point matters. Every field goal matters. We lost by 1 point. When you kick a field goal, you win the game. So it comes down to really just who takes better care of the ball. And that wasn't us. We had a couple key costly fumbles, and it sucks when, you would assume that the rookie quarterback playing against this tremendous secondary and this great defense that can apply pressure and sends blitzes all the time, constant pressure. You'd think that it would be Mac, the rookie quarterback, who's going to be turning the ball over. But when he plays a game like he played, which we'll get into, and you guys lose because you have 2 fumbles by the running backs in key situations, it's tough. Right there with a chance to win the game inside the 15-yard line, and you fumble the ball when you could have, worst case scenario, you could have kicked a field goal and been up by 2 with not much time left in the game. So that was really tough to see. Something we really tried to hammer home. And I'm sure they're going to be better from it. I'm sure they're going to learn from it, but it's tough when you lose week 1, a division game against the Dolphins, who we're probably going to be pretty close with record-wise this year. So now we're going to have to try to go week 17 or week 18 when we go to Miami. That game's going to be a big game. We're going to have to try to win that game, division game. And that's not what you like to see, because we usually have struggles late in the year up in Miami.
Yeah, and you mentioned Mac throwing against pressure. He was 14 for 19 against pressure, and his last 9 attempts were accurate throws tagged by, Pro Football Focus. So he's delivering balls not only under pressure, but in crunch time too. Like, think of the last 9 passes he threw. Those are, either early in the fourth quarter or late in the fourth quarter when we're driving, and he's delivering those things. And they might not be super deep routes, but he's getting it out. You don't have a lot of time to throw it when you're under pressure. You got to take what you can get and not take a sack. So that's impressive for me as a rookie. And it's what he did at Alabama too. He got the ball out of his hands quick. He got it out accurately. And we saw that this week against Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's transition into our first segment, the good, the bad, and the injured. Who was the first player that you had on your good list?
So first one for me on my good list was Adrian Phillips. I talked about him leading the team in interceptions as a prediction, but I was very impressed with Adrian Phillips this week. I got a couple clips that I will pull up here after I talk about him. But going off of stats, he was graded super high by Pro Football Focus after this game. Let me pull these stats up on my iPad and I'll read them off to you. He was graded the highest of any Patriot. He got graded out at 81.6. Devin McCourty was 2 at 73.4. But what impressed me is not only in coverage was he was also involved in the run game a lot. He was involved in the blitzing game a lot too. We saw him put pressure on. That's going to be one of my clips. But he's just doing good things. And where he lines up on the field, it varies. He's not just a safety. He lined up in the box 12 times. He lined up in coverage, either in the slot or at cornerback 9 times. And then he was at safety 3 more times. And so he's everywhere. They're putting him everywhere on the field, which is awesome to see. And I love seeing the versatility there, because he can, come up. We saw him get in a couple blitz packages, get some big TFLs, and make an impact in the game early and late. I thought that he was one of the best ones when we were coming down the stretch. So let me pull up this first clip right here, if I can find it. Yep, right here. I'll share this. This is on. This is just a simple. This is one of his TFLs, and I love this because he is. Let me pull this up right here. Okay, so right here, if I pause it, he is in. So he's going to be right here, and Judon's inside of him. Now, how we tag this up at where I coach at is we call this a Frisco. So it's man coverage. You see the corner running with the guy in motion. They know it's man. So someone has to account for this tight end right here, whether it's Adrian Phillips or Matt Judon. Most of the time, you think it's going to be the safety over Judon. Well, what they do here is they're going to put Judon on him, get his hands on, and they're going to let Adrian Phillips run free off the corner. I don't know if they saw this in film and they knew this formation, the tendencies, but you're going to see right here after the motion, Adrian Phillips is just going to come off and he's right in the backfield to make a TFL. So that's big time for me for Adrian Phillips. You know, either him recognizing it and making that pre-snap adjustment with Matt Judon, or if he's just, you know, doing what the coaches are telling him, and that's a game plan thing. It just shows, you know, how versatile this defense is. So this was one of the plays that really stood out to me by Adrian Phillips, and there's a couple more that I'll pull up. But Cole, did you like what you saw from Adrian Phillips?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, especially like you said, he stood out late in the game. There was one drive late in the game. I don't remember if it was late third or early to mid fourth, but I think he made like 2 or 3 plays in a row to get the team off the field, to get Miami off the field and get our defense off the field. He was all over the place in the backfield, making different plays. Also, Mike Gaseki kind of was a no-show yesterday. He didn't really make it, or not yesterday, Sunday. He didn't really make much of an impact, and I'm not sure how often he was covering him compared to Duggar and Jawan Williams. I'm sure they mixed up a little bit, but yeah, I thought Adrian Phillips was awesome. He was definitely making plays in the backfield, and I didn't hear his name at all in coverage. I didn't see him at all in coverage, which is usually a good sign. That means usually if you don't hear their name, then they're probably doing something right. They're not getting targeted for a reason, hopefully. So I thought he was definitely deserving to be on the good list. I thought he had a great game, and just seeing the chemistry that this defense has already to be able to do stuff like that. And I hope it was something between the two of them that they communicated right there at the line of scrimmage and said, "Hey, we'll do this," or schemed up, whatever. But just seeing these pieces come together, it's going to be exciting. Adrian Phillips was a guy in preseason and during training camp that really stood out. And we heard it. He was covering Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and they had some true battles, and they were going back and forth. And him and Jonnu really had some battles during different days, and Adrian Phillips was doing really solid. So that was kind of concerning because we're like, oh God, is Jonnu not doing good, or is Adrian Phillips just really, really playing that well? And I think he's going to have a big year this year, like you said.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the things I saw from him. The other clip I have right here, obviously, the one turnover that we forced. A lot of people remember the hit that was made by Judon, which I think was definitely a great hit. But the original pressure comes from Phillips. When I'm watching the game and I see Phillips come off the edge, I'm like, oh, he's going to get the sack. And then, Tua, he's a pretty elusive guy, so he gets off. But you're going to see right up here, Adrian Phillips is going to come off. Kind of the same thing up, showing safety. He comes right through the middle, gets outside, but he forces the scramble here. And then he that might have been a clip. I'm not going to lie. Like, that could have easily been thrown as a flag. But Judon comes, absolutely levels Tua, and then Jonathan Jones gets the tip pick. But that's a big-time play, too. It's good seeing Adrian Phillips come and show up a little bit more right here in the blitzing game and package, because now they have to account for him if he's down in the box, which I'm sure he's going to take half, if not more, of his snaps this year in the box with his versatility.
And it's good to see. We got multiple guys. That safety room is stacked. We got multiple guys that can do a lot of different things. Usually you'd think, okay, based on what we saw last year, Kyle Duggar is going to be a guy who's more in the box and more blitzing, coming off the edge, playing in the run game, stuff like that. But when you get a guy like Adrian Phillips who can do a lot of the same things, he might not be as explosive as Kyle Duggar, but you saw him shoot off the edge there, and he made multiple plays at key times in the game. So yeah, I think having a guy like him, I was really impressed with what I saw from him last year. When we signed him, I didn't have a ton of expectations for him, but I was really impressed. He was probably last year, out of everybody, the guy who surpassed my expectations the most out of anybody on our team. So I was really impressed with him last year, and I have high hopes for him this year. I think he can be a piece that just continues to show he can do a lot of different things. He played some linebacker, some safety, covered tight ends. Now he's blitzing, running off the edge. He can do a lot of different things, and I think he's going to be a great piece for us this year.
Yeah, and if I wanted to show more clips, I could pull up 4 more clips of Adrian Phillips, of him, not like directly making the play, but him coming up and, leveraging a block or him forcing a block to bounce outside, he was great in the run game. That's what really impressed me is he's a little bit undersized, but he plays like a linebacker size. Like he's in there, he's physical, he's banging with the offensive lineman. I was very impressed with him today. He's the top of my good list. So what about you? Who do you have on your good list?
So this is kind of an easy one, kind of a gimme based off all the talk and everything, but I got to go with Mac Jones as my first one on the good list. I was just extremely. Let me just pull this up real quick. These were our predictions for Mac Jones. I had 176 yards. You had 180. You had 2 touchdowns. I had 1. We both thought he wasn't going to be throwing the ball all that often because of Miami's defense. I mean, they apply a lot of pressure. They have great blitz schemes and different stunts and things they do. They blitzed Mac Jones, I think 46% of the time, something like that. And he was extremely impressive. I kind of at a loss for words. He was 29 for 39, 281 yards and a touchdown. PFF graded him the highest rookie quarterback with a 78.3 grade. Second was Zach Wilson, 63.2. Then Trevor Lawrence, 57.7. I mean, he was by far the best rookie quarterback, and he was by far the best quarterback on that field, in my opinion. I thought he was tremendous for his first ever game against that type of defense, that heavy of a blitz scheme. You saw him at the line making all these different adjustments, and he was setting up the protection, setting up different adjustments, alert, doing different stuff, making just a bunch of different adjustments that you don't usually see from a rookie quarterback in his first game with a team that has such a complex defense like the Miami Dolphins do. So I was extremely impressed. I thought he looked extremely poised. He was under pressure a lot, like we said, made some really great throws. He made one throw to Jacoby Myers that got on a zero blitz that Jason McCourty came over and swatted it down. And then he said, okay, I'm going to remember that for next time. And next time, Nelson Aguilar ran, I think it was a post route, and he just zipped it into him over the middle, put some more heat on it because that first one, it was a little too lofty, a little too much touch, and Jason McCourty got to it. But this next one, he zipped in there and made sure that he was going to get it. So being able to learn from his mistakes, handle pressure, set up the protection, I thought he did a lot of really, really good things that you don't usually see from a rookie quarterback, especially in their first ever NFL game.
For sure. And here's his first touchdown. I'm sure most of you saw it, but he's going to step up. Takes a minute. Like he's under pressure. That's not an easy throw. He takes a hit right there. He gets up, he slaps Landon Roberts on the helmet, a good thing. But I mean, that's an impressive throw for me. Stays in there, takes it, delivers it on time, accurately, makes the right read. I mean, it's easy for a rookie quarterback to just throw that ball out right there. And I don't know if we'll get a replay, maybe not. We'll watch it again, but I mean, this is a hard hitting linebacker. We know a Landon Roberts right in his face, and he delivers it. And then for me, the throw of the day, I'm sure a lot of people have this on there, but third and 11, exactly. Third and 11, James White just drops it in his breadbasket. And I'm sorry, like I have no disrespect for Cam Newton, but he couldn't make that throw. No. I'm sorry. Yeah. I wish it was different for Cam Newton, but he just cannot make that throw. That's people say like Tom Brady, like that's Tom Brady. Like how many times have we seen Tom Brady drop it in a basket like that? I mean, that is just a perfectly thrown ball, big time play. I mean, what's the time on it? It's a third and 11, 5 minutes left in the third, and we're down 17-10. And he's just stepping up like it's nothing over the outside shoulder. Only James White can catch it. And it was just, I mean, throw of the game for me right there by Mac Jones.
It was such a good, I mean, if we had the full clip and they showed a couple different angles of it, you see when Mac releases the ball, James White is just running his route. He's not looking. Mac releases it, perfect loft, perfect distance, timing to where James White doesn't turn and look at the ball until it's halfway to him already. And he just turns and looks, and it drops, I mean, perfect, right in the breadbasket. You can't have a better throw than that. On third down and 11, when they're sending pressure, they've been sending pressure all day on third down. A lot of zero blitzes, a lot of blitzing. And he just stands in the pocket and makes that throw like it's nothing. It was an absolute dime. You see the matchup, you like the matchup. James White on a linebacker. That throw was insane. I was very impressed with that throw. I thought that was definitely the best throw of the day for him as well. But he was so impressive. I don't know what the stat was exactly, but I think you just mentioned it. I think earlier what
14
he
for
was
19 with pressure.
yeah
under
against the
pressure.
blitz. I mean, as a rookie quarterback, that's insane. Just being able to deal with pressure that well. All we talked about was how tough this Miami defense was, and how they're going to send a lot at Mac. And hey, can he handle it? It's his first week in the NFL, first regular season start against this type of team, and this is what he does. You lose your starting right tackle, one of your best offensive linemen, early in the game. Mac had a lot of pressure on him all day. I mean, I think he got pressured like 9 times, or had like nine different knockdowns or hits, like high pressure situations, and he was great. I thought he showed a lot of poise, stayed in the pocket, took some big hits, and delivered great throws. That's why I thought he was extremely impressive. I'm going to pull this clip up. Let me just find it for a second.
Yeah, while you find that, let me pull up 2 more that I have, and maybe this is one of yours. So if it is, shout out or tell me, and you can talk about it too. But this is Mac Jones at his finest right here that I saw in college. At 1st and 10, you're seeing the pressure here. These 2 linebackers, 43, and I don't know if that's 39 or what, but they're creeping like they're timing it up pretty good. But quarterbacks are told to throw into the blitz because one of these guys has to cover him, whether it's the safety coming down and he's 12 yards back, or it's one of these linebackers that have to get over there. So Mac recognizes this, and watch the time he catches it to throw it. Like, he gets this ball out of his hands so fast. Look, he diagnoses it, bam, it's out. And dude, that's his 5-yard play, but that is massive to see a rookie quarterback doing that. You see him, if I go back, he's going to point him out pre-snap. Sorry, we'll let it here, but he's going to point at both of them. Like, these 2 are coming. Watch right here. Boom, right there. He knows, bam, out of his hands. It's big time for me right there to see that throw. And then the other one, same drive, it happened to be a penalty, which sucks that this call got called back. But this shows that his pocket awareness that some people were a little worried about. Yeah, the one to Kendrick Bourne, where evades a rusher, comes back, and he is on the run and delivers this ball 30 yards down the field on the money.
On a dime, yeah.
I
mean, even back shoulder towards the sideline to Kendrick Bourne, where, I mean, just his ball placement, his awareness, his ability to throw on the run. For all the people saying he's a statue, he has no mobility, I don't see it. Look, I mean, obviously he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's none of these guys, like, mobile-wise, but he's not a Tom Brady. He can move around in the pocket. He can make these throws on the run. He can do a lot of different things with his feet, where he can at least just make subtle movements in the pocket. He's great in the pocket, but then also when he needs to escape the pocket and get out there and make a throw on the run, we saw him do that multiple times last game. A couple of them got called back for penalties. We saw it in the preseason as well, called back for penalties, but I was extremely impressed. And this is the one clip I wanted to pull up. This one was the one I was just talking about to Nelson Aguilar. This was later after the Jacoby Myers one that got broken up. That might have been a touchdown if he put a little more zip on it, and Jason McCourty wasn't there. But this was the one to Nelson Aguilar after that, where he just zips it right in there. Calling out the mic, setting protection, drop back, boom. Mm-hmm. I mean, great throw on the money. Jason McCourty was there, but he threw it into traffic, made sure he got it there before the safety could get there and hit him. Let's just show another replay of it.
Yeah, it's big time. I mean, you see how fast Aguilar stretches the field too right there, and Matt gets it to him over the linebacker, drops it in before the safety gets there. It's just, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're salivating over Mac Jones. Like, I'm not writing it off and saying he's the GOAT yet, because he's far from it. He still hasn't won a regular season game. But the throws he's making, like, they're big time. Like, we've mentioned this. He was tagged the most pro-ready quarterback for a reason, and people doubted that. I firmly believe that Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones deep down inside because he knew he was ready. But the media and everyone else in that organization wanted to go with the flashy guy in Trey Lance and stuff. So I love Mac Jones. And I'm sorry, if you're a Patriots fan, you come at me all you want, but there is no other rookie quarterback that you would have rather taken in this draft than Mac Jones. That is my personal opinion. We saw Trevor Lawrence struggle. Yeah, he doesn't have the weapons. Zach Wilson doesn't have the offensive line. But, like, just the situation and everything for Mac Jones to come to New England, I just don't see there being a better fit for a rookie quarterback this year. And luckily we have him.
The chips couldn't have fallen any better for Mac Jones. He landed in the perfect spot. We got him at 15, didn't have to trade up for him. Just got him with our regular pick. I mean, this kid, I get it. A lot of people are, I don't really understand why, but a lot of people are kind of being like, okay, why are you guys hyping him up so much? It's not, I mean, he's just been extremely impressive. I mean, even me, who I try to think of myself as a positive person who's looking at the bright side of a lot of situations. Mac Jones, every single time he steps on the field, continues to impress me every week above my expectations. I try to, okay, he's a rookie quarterback. It's his first game. I mean, I think we both kind of thought that based off our predictions. We said he's going to have under 200 yards. We had like 175, 180 yards for Mac Jones. Not a lot of throws, decent completion percentage. He set the record for highest completion percentage by a rookie quarterback. And we'll throw up the QB comparison here. 74.4% in his first ever NFL game against this defense. I mean, it's extremely impressive. I get it. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, those guys are not in the greatest of situations. The Jaguars aren't a great team. The Jets aren't a great team. They don't have the best offensive lines, weapons around them, all that stuff. I get that. But Mac Jones has taken the opportunity he's been given, and he has absolutely run with it, and he has done extremely well. He also, I think, in the entire NFL, he was either third or fifth, somewhere around there, for big time throws ranked by PFF. He had four big time throws that they ranked in this game from him against this type of defense. I thought he was tremendous. He's continued to impress me week to week. There was another play that I didn't see this till on the broadcast, but Mac Jones sets the protection, sees that they're going to have a blitz coming. I think it's third down and like so it's like third and mid. And he says, Hunter, and then snaps the ball, and Hunter Henry runs a quick out route. He zips it to him on third down, and he gets the first down. Just seeing these adjustments on the fly, communicating with the tight ends, the wide receivers, these guys, and making these adjustments, getting the ball out fast when you know pressure's coming, it's extremely impressive. That play that you just showed, knowing he's going to have one free rusher, saying, okay, this is the protection. We're going to swing it to the right, and this guy's going to be coming free, but I'm going to zip it right past his ear and throw it to Nelson Aguilar for 5-yard completion on first down. He's just the level that he's at just surpasses my expectations every week. And I'm excited to see him progress week to week. I know it wasn't perfect. Obviously, we saw that first play for his first passing play of the game. He got the jitters out. It wasn't a great play, but if you're a Patriots fan, I don't know how you're not excited about the future. And I don't know how you don't have confidence saying, okay, we found our guy. And that's extremely exciting. So we're going to talk about it a lot. It's a big story. It's a big deal. We didn't have a quarterback last year. We just lost the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. And a couple of years removed, we feel like we found the guy. And that's got to get your hopes up for the future of this team.
Yeah, and going off of, his 74.4% completion percentage, it's what he did in college. I mean, he set the record for highest completion percentage in a season. It was previously owned by Colt McCoy at 76.6%, and he goes out and has a record-breaking year, throws 77.4% completion percentage on 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. It's just everything he did in college, he's doing in the NFL so far. He's translating. He's taking care of the ball. Besides that one, luckily we got back on it on the first play of the game, but he's taking care of the ball. I didn't see many dumb throws, ones that straight up was like, oh, that could have been picked. Like I did not see that Sunday against Miami. There was not many risky throws out there that I thought he probably shouldn't have made. So I was just very, very impressed with Mac Jones. And, he outperformed Tua. The QBRs is ridiculous. Mac Jones's QBR was 75.1, which is not great by any means, but Tua's was 39.8. Like he outperformed him. He did. He only had 1 sack against him, and you can favor the offensive line and say thanks for that one, but he threw for 79 more yards. He had the same amount of touchdowns, but he didn't have a pick. Like, I just don't know how people say that Tua outperformed him. It just blows my mind. Like, yeah, they won, and I wish we would have won, but I by no means think Tua outperformed him. And then if you just go look at the time of possession, Mac controlled this game the whole time. The time of possession was 36.43 for us to 23 minutes and 17 seconds for Miami. Like, we just controlled the ball the whole time. And that's where it gets frustrating, where we didn't score in the red zone, because we had the ball so long. We just could not, execute and, make the most of our chances. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Finn. We appreciate that. But yeah, just touching on that Tua to Mac topic. I saw some Dolphins fans saying this, and I mean, we saw JC Jackson say it. In my opinion, this is just, you watch the game, this is what you see. And if you're trying to look at it in a non-biased perspective, as a Dolphins fan, as a Pats fan, whatever, look at it, look at the numbers, watch the two play, and watch how each player plays. JC Jackson said, yeah, when Tua doesn't know what to do, when he gets past his first read, he just throws the ball up there. I saw Tua do that 4 to 5 times in this past game. I mean, it ended up working for him 4 out of the 5 times, but that 5th time, you turn the ball over. If we had Stephon Gilmore out there and we didn't have a couple lesser corners that kind of are more our depth pieces. I mean, we saw Jalen Waddle. He's under pressure. He doesn't know what to do. Throws the ball up one-on-one. Jalen Waddle and another guy. They both jump in the air. Jonathan Jones has his back turned and kind of misses it. But that's not a high percentage throw. Throwing a 50-50 ball to Jalen Waddle. I mean, if it's like a seam and he's beating a guy deep, that's one thing. But when you're throwing it up in the air for grabs to Jalen Waddle, that's not necessarily a high percentage throw. He threw a couple up to Devontae Parker that is just, it's 50-50 balls. I get it. Some quarterbacks, that's kind of what they do, and they like to go give their guys a chance, but throwing a 50-50 ball with Devontae Parker and JC Jackson, who was second last year in interceptions, that's not a great idea either. And then I don't know what he was thinking when he threw that ball up, when he got hit by Adrian Phillips with the pressure early and throws that ball up where there's 3 Patriots defenders and a couple Dolphins, and it ended up bouncing around and we got it. It's just, I don't know. Tua was great at getting the ball out quickly when he knew he was going to be under pressure. That quick game, when he saw we were playing back, he got the ball out quickly and made some nice plays. But overall, if you watch that game and you think anything other than Mac Jones outperformed Tua, then I don't really know what to tell you. Mac Jones did outperform Tua. He looked better. He looked more poised, in control, and he made better decisions than Tua made. And this was his first start. This is Tua's second year. So if you disagree, I don't really know what to say. I feel like that's just straight up the facts of that game. If you paid attention, you watch it and try to think of it from a non-biased perspective.
Yeah, and going off the turnover-worthy plays, like I was talking about, Pro Football Focus only graded him for 1 turnover-worthy play. I think we all know what play that was. The first play of the first passing attempt he had. And then according to Pro Football Focus, his big-time throw percentage, he made 4 big-time throws, which is 4th, tied for 4th. The only ones that are better than him were Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and Dak Prescott, who all
had pretty good company to be.
Outstanding weeks. And his big time throw percentage was 9.5%. So off of his 39 attempts, his 4 big time throws were 9%. Like he's making big time throws, and we saw it. We showed a couple replays there. So it's not just like we're out here as Patriots fans being biased. Like, the stats show it. Pro Football Focus and everyone else is showing it. Who led the league in completion percentage past 20 yards this week? Tom Brady 1, Mac Jones 2. That's how it goes. Okay. And it's just showing you he's setting I think he's just going to keep setting the league on notice. People are going to start noticing him. I think still they're kind of like, oh, well, they lost, well, he didn't do enough. No, they're going to start winning and they're going to start getting the attention. And so Mac Jones deserves, I really firmly believe that if he keeps this up, he's Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I agree with that. Everything you said. It's just, I don't know how you look at it and you're not excited as a Pats fan. He's been amazing. It's been fun to watch this kid work so early, get such an understanding of the playbook, and he's got 16 more games before the end of the year to just keep improving. This is his first year. If this is his first year, imagine what he's going to be 4 years down the road when he has a full understanding of this playbook, knows the ins and outs of everything, and has time with these guys and time in the NFL. Once he starts to understand defenses at an elite level, his mentality his work ethic, how he is in the locker room, how he is on and off the field. I mean, he's the perfect Patriot. We've seen, I mean, his interview afterwards, after the game, took everything on himself, even though he had absolutely nothing to do with that loss. Could we have been better as a team in the red zone? Yes. But was that all on Mac Jones? No. He didn't turn the ball over. He did everything the Patriots asked him to do, and he led this team to where we were in a position to win that game if we didn't turn the ball over twice. That was just stupid mistakes. It happened, and we still were in a position where we could have won that game. So I thought Mac was tremendous. That is great company for him to be in with those top three of those top quarterbacks who are top 10, top 5 in the league. And the weeks they had, I mean, they had phenomenal weeks, and that's all that's been talked about on the internet, on Instagram, all that stuff. You see Tom Brady highlights, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and then you see Mac Jones, the rookie, and he was up there in the big time throws, these different completion percentage, all these different metrics. He was up there statistically with those guys against a Dolphins defense that's better than the Titans defense that Kyler Murray went up against, better than the Cowboys defense that Tom Brady went up against. And it's just, it's impressive. It's fun to watch this kid work, and big game against the Jets this week. It's going to be a big opportunity for him to really show what he can do against the Jets defense that's not as good as Miami. Another divisional game, but we'll see what happens. But it's just, that was so frustrating about this loss is the rookie quarterback had nothing to do with this loss. He played phenomenal in his first NFL start, and we still lost this game. So that was what was so frustrating about it to me.
For sure. Well, let's continue with our good, bad, and injured. I have a couple more clips for the good. Obviously, I'm going to give my good to Adrian Phillips. You give yours to Mac Jones, but there's a couple more things I wanted to talk about that I think were impressive. I'll share this clip right here. This clip is of Josh Uche, and we've talked about Uche a lot now, right? And this is a 3rd and 5 right here. This
was disgusting.
This is speed to power if I've ever seen it, okay? Everyone knows Josh Uche for his speed. He's fast. He's like lightning in a bottle. But watch what he does to this left tackle. He gets him thinking he's got to push up field. So this offensive tackle's kick stepping, and once Uche puts that right foot in the ground and gets vertical, it is nasty. So here we go. We're going to see him. He's at the top of your screen here, pushes up field, bop, gets him. Oh, it's just, and the other thing that I like here is Uche's great, but look at what Christian Barmore does too, number 90. He's going to be the left defensive tackle. He's handling this double team too. He gets off of it. He's forcing pressure too. So those are two young guys in the pass game that I was very impressed with. Christian Barmore still got things to work on in the run game. He didn't grade out too well in the run game. Passing game, he did great. Here's another one of his pass rushing clips right here. But he's got to improve in the run game if he wants to be a quality full-time defensive tackle. But you're going to see here, he's same spot on the left hash, just, bull rushes, kind of catches him off guard, and he doesn't really make a sack or anything. Could have been a pick right here. He's involved. But he's involved, right? He's forcing Tua to roll out. He's pushing the pocket. He's pushing.
It looked like he was pushing two guys there.
Yeah. It's just I was very, very impressed with Christian Barmore in the pass game. That's what we drafted him for. We knew he was a little raw and underdeveloped in the run game, but his athleticism, his twitch is there. And then one more here of the new guys that we added, talked about him all training camp. Matt Judon, right? This is his first, him and Van Noy's first sack, but you see him too. You talk about manhandling a guy. He gets chipped here. Both him and Uche, I'm going to pause it real quick. Both him and Uche are getting chipped and held for that matter, right? Uche gets chipped by the tight end and then gets taken over by the tackle. Judon's going to get hit by the tackle and he's going to, just bull rush this running back. But they're chipping both of our ends right here before they get out on routes. But watch what Judon does. Like, yeah, it's a small running back, but
they threw the flag.
Just bull rushes through him. Cal Van Noy comes. You see the passion right there.
I loved that excitement that he had after that. I mean, he wanted to beat the Dolphins, and that would have been so sweet if we would have pulled out that win, because I think that would have meant a lot to him. And I mean, the entire team, obviously, but especially him, where he felt he was done dirty by the Dolphins, let go on that big contract, and he was out for vengeance. And that play, the excitement that and the energy that he saw. It's great to have a guy like him back in this locker room who's out there making plays. I thought he had a good game, but yeah, it's just Uche. He wasn't on the field a ton, but when he was, every time he's on the field, you got to put your eyes on that guy because he is like you said, that guy is he's a rocket. When he comes off the line of scrimmage, he just shoots off the line of scrimmage, blows by tackles. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got everything. This kid is going to continue to refine his technique, continue to improve, and he's going to be a problem in the NFL for years to come. So seeing him, Uche on opposite sides, Van Noy mixed in there, Chase Winovich, all these guys, Christian Barmore rushing from the middle. When they're double teaming a guy who was a second round pick in his rookie year, his first game, that's respect. That's okay. This kid is a problem, and we got to double team him to block this kid and try to create time for our quarterback. So it's just, I think we got a lot of talent in that front seven. It is going to be such a fun year to watch these guys work. And I just hope our secondary can do their end, because I think our front seven is going to have no issues holding up, rushing the passer and doing different stuff like that. We'll see how we do against the run. We had a little bit of struggles against that late in the game, but overall, I think we held Miami to like 3 yards per carry, which is good. I mean, there's no issue with that. 3 yards per carry. That's fine to hold them to. It's a lot better than what it was last year. So I think there's a lot of guys that have a lot of talent on this team, on the defense side of the ball, offense side of the ball. It's exciting. It was a loss, but this is about as happy as I've been in a division loss in as long as I can remember. You got to be happy. What we saw from Mac. I mean, realistically, looking at the next 10 years, would you have rather seen us win this game 17-16 and Mac Jones throw 2 picks and look like he was lost out there? Or would you rather lose this game 17-16 and have Mac Jones perform like this, look like it was not too big of a moment? He handled everything extremely well, picked up the blitz, all that stuff that we've been talking about. For me, I would much rather see us lose this one game and say, okay, look at what Mac Jones just did. This kid is ready and he's going to be our future. And knowing we have a quarterback of the future, that means a lot more to me than one single win in one single season. So that's my perspective on it.
For sure. Well, let's go. Every time there's someone good, there's someone bad. So let's go to our bad. Cole, who do you have on your bad list?
So I had a few different specific things along with a couple different players, but I'll start off with Ramondre Stevenson. It was disappointing. I mean, when they slowed it frame by frame on Twitter after the game, he was down, but they call it a fumble, and he didn't even try to get on the ball, which I think he didn't try to get on the ball because he knew he didn't fumble. But at the same time, you never know. You got to hop on the ball. He fumbled, and he didn't even try to hop on it. He just hopped right up and said, no, I was down. He also got blown up in that when he was pass blocking. He got destroyed in one play by Landon Roberts. He ran him right over and almost pushed him back into Mac Jones. So that's not something you love to see, but I wanted to see more from the rookie. I thought they had a lot of confidence in him. JJ Taylor was a healthy scratch because I think they thought, hey, Ramondre is going to be good in this game. We got Damian Harris, James White. We got all the guys we need here. Brandon Bolden. But, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson fumbled, wasn't good in pass blocking, and he basically didn't see the field after that, except for one play where he was in there for pass blocking. It's just, I was disappointed. As soon as he fumbled, I said, I wonder if we're going to regret trading Sony Michel when we have a rookie running back who fumbled in preseason and also just fumbled first game, one of his first carries in the NFL in the regular season. So I had him on my bad list for that reason.
Yeah, it was rough to see that. He only had 2 touches, like you mentioned. Hopefully he comes back, but we all know how Bill handles that. For me, it was the offensive line. I thought after Trent Brown went down, the 2 tackles really struggled. Justin Herron came in and just he didn't give up a sack, but he had 2 pressures. The one for me that really stood out was Isaiah Wynn. And I think he's still he hasn't played a lot of meaningful, like, regular season snaps. He's got to get into the mold of things, but he allowed 3 QB hits, 1 hurry, and 4 pressures. I mean, it's just, he's got to be better, man. I wish that he played better than that. He played a lot of snaps. He played 75 offensive snaps, which is every snap. Like, he didn't come off the field. Mac Jones played 75. Shaq Mason played 75. Andrews Owinu played 75. Like, he was on the field every snap, and he graded out the worst for pressures. He had the most pressures given up. So the 2 tackle spots for me, you got to see that improve. And I know I said we talked about it some more, but if Trent Brown misses extended time, and this is kind of going into the injured segment, but if he misses a game or two, we got to have that spot figured out, whether it's Huron or whether it's Yasir Durant.
And he was actually one guy that I was impressed with. I thought Huron was pretty awful, to be honest. I just think he struggled a lot, and our ability to run the ball after Trent Brown went out was severely affected. I mean, him and Shaq Brown, him and Shaq,
they had a baby.
Shaq, yeah, him and Shaq Mason. Jeez, just two guys, like we showed that first clip early in the episode, just move bodies. Those guys are just big forces to deal with on the offensive line that could just move guys and create big holes for the running backs to run through. As soon as we lost Trent Brown, after that, his 7 snaps, that first series that we had, our ability to run the ball was impacted significantly, and running the ball to the right off that right side of the offensive line, it just wasn't what it would have been with Trent Brown in there. So I honestly think, I mean, it's tough to say, but I honestly think if Trent Brown doesn't get injured that game, I think we win that game because of our ability to run the ball with Trent Brown in the game still. And that drop off from Trent to Huron is a pretty significant drop off. So not just pass protection, run game, all that stuff. I think Trent Brown was a much bigger loss than people really think it was. And seeing Huron not really be able to step up to the table and seeing him actually get benched because of penalties and just mistakes that he made and not being good, and seeing Durant come in, I actually thought Yasir Durant played pretty well. I thought for the situation that we were in and him only signing with the team, we traded for him a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. I thought he played solid, but yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. O-line I thought wasn't great. Huron wasn't great. I actually thought Mike Onwenu was not too bad. I thought he was probably our best offensive lineman, probably that game. Him and David Andrews wasn't too bad either, but overall it wasn't what it was early in the game, and we expected this to be the strong suit of our team, and seeing Trent Brown go out and then our team struggle like that wasn't the best. But the next thing I had on the bad list was short passing defense. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but anytime we played off coverage and we weren't pressed at the line on these guys, they were just eating on slant routes. They were just boom, quick slants, throwing on the ball, and they were making a little bit of plays after the catch. That one late in the game, Tua threw it to Devontae Parker on a slant that I think it got him the first down, or I don't know if that was the one that got called back, but anyways, it was like a 13-yard slant route to Devontae Parker. Just threw him the ball quickly, and he got the first down late in the game, and that's not something you want to see. I think that one did get called back, but it was tough. That was the only time they really got yards, other than throwing the ball up a 50-50 ball that Tua got lucky and his receiver caught it. So that was something that we really struggled with, and it's something that we're definitely going to have to work on in the coming weeks if we want to beat some of these teams with even better wide receivers like Tampa, Dallas, all these different guys. So that was one thing that I had bad.
Yeah. I wanted to pull up this thing going off of your Trent Brown. If you can make this big, I'll kind of explain this. I wanted to pull this up. So this is Pro Football Focus. This is rushing direction. So you're going to see up top, left end, left tackle, left guard, middle left, middle right, right guard, right tackle, right end. So it's telling you the rushing direction. So look at our right guard. We had 3 attempts. So right guard, right in between Shaq Mason and Trent Brown, if he's there. 3 attempts for 43 yards, 14.3 yards per attempt. I'm guessing, obviously, you have the 35-yarder in there. We all already watched that. I'm guessing a couple more might have came with Trent Brown in there. But look at where else we're running without Trent Brown. We ran to the right side without the whole game. This is the whole game. We went to the right side 3, 4, 6 times compared to look at how much is to the left or up the middle. So for me, it's kind of a telling thing of what they thought of Justin Huron and Yasir Durant right there at that right tackle spot, whether it's running in the B gap or the C gap. They were avoiding it that game. They were going towards Onwenu. They were going towards Andrews. They're even going towards Wynn. And, you know, whether this is Hunter Henry or Johnny Smith, they're going at that left side without Trent Brown there. And that teams are going to get that tendency there. If Trent Brown's out an extended time longer than that, and we can only use the left side of our rushing attack, that's, you know, it limits how they're going to play us totally. They're going to stack the box to one side, and they're going to dare us to run to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And based off what I see here from that first drive, it looks like Damian Harris, that 35-yard run, that was to the right. And then Jonnu Smith, that run, that was to the right by for that 6-yard run from Jonnu Smith early in the game. That was to that direction by Trent Brown. So those were two runs, 35 and 6 yards. It's just when you become one-dimensional in this league, it's hard to succeed. So them knowing, all right, they're not going to run it off this right tackle who has been terrible. They're going to keep running it to the left if they run it. And they know we have to run it because that's one of the strong suits of our team. So when we have to keep running the ball, they just stack the box. They play like we're going to run it to the left. They put their better guys on that side. It's just when you know what the offense is going to do, it's way easier for the defense to succeed. So that forced us to throw the ball a little bit more. And I think that's why we saw Mac kind of throwing so much later in the game. But early on, it seemed like we were a little timid with what we were letting Mac do. And then I think as the game went on, you saw the coaches grow more and more confidence in Mac and his ability, seeing, okay, this kid can handle it. I think if anything, they're just going to put more on his plate and more on his plate and more on his plate because the kid has shown that he's been able to handle everything they've thrown at him. And just seeing the confidence that they built throughout the game. I mean, from first quarter to fourth quarter, if you watch Mac Jones and you watch the play calls and different stuff like that, they're giving him more opportunities to have success and saying, okay, let's see what this kid can do. And he stepped up to the plate every time. But yeah, hopefully Trent Brown, we'll get to that a little bit more in a minute, but hopefully he's not out too long because I think his loss was a lot bigger than people really anticipated.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into that right now. Unless you have any more bads. Do you have any more bads? I think that I hit on most of them. The only other one that I would have to throw in there would be Jawan Williams, but you kind of talked about with the off coverages. He just looked lost out there. I think the cornerback 2 spot, at least while Gilmore is out, was I felt more comfortable with Jalen Mills. He made a good play on a deep ball in the end zone.
That was a really great play.
Deflected it. So I feel more comfortable with Jalen Mills there. So maybe I'd put Jawan Williams on my bad list.
For Mills, that play was an incredible play. I mean, that was just extreme athleticism, jumping up, tipping that ball in the end zone. That was huge. I also saw one, I will say, where Jalen Mills was playing off coverage a little bit. I think it was on a 3rd down, and he let up a quick slant like that, and they got a 1st down. It's like, come on. We can't be doing that. So that position is kind of going to be up in the air anyways, but I'll just kind of wrap up both lists because I had Ramondre Stevenson, which we touched on, penalties, which we touched on, turnovers, short passing, defense, and then offensive line for the bad. And then for the good, a couple guys, we kind of touched on all these guys pretty much, but I had Nelson Aguilar on the good, like we talked about. James White I had on the good. We showed a clip of him, but I thought he was great. He was in the running game, 4 carries, 12 yards, so not that great. But in the passing game, he had 6 receptions for 49 yards, average of 8 yards per catch. I thought he was great, and I think kind of like we touched on last episode when we released the predictions, and I said James White I thought was going to have a big year, maybe lead us in receiving touchdowns. I think he's going to be. He was back to the James White we saw with Tom Brady. We saw him not get utilized that much with Cam because Cam wasn't great at hitting the checkdowns and making them be able to create after the catch. But I thought Mac really utilized James White, and I think he's going to be a big strength of this team for the rest of this year and for the future, however long he ends up staying with us. I know he's only on a 1-year deal, but I was impressed with what I saw with him, and it looked like we saw James White at the past, which was nice to see.
Yeah, I like that. And then I'll let you hit on the injured report also. Trent Brown's the big one here. Was there anyone else that you saw come up on the injury report, and do you have any statuses on those?
So there hasn't been an official injury report released yet. That first one comes out tomorrow, so we'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if we do an episode Thursday, a preview episode, we'll have those updates for you. But Trent Brown, according to Adam Schefter, Trent Brown has been diagnosed with a minor right calf strain, but he's considered day-to-day. He has a chance to play next week. So that was obviously a good break for us.
Good.
I mean, could play this weekend. Maybe they won't push it, and we'll wait till week 3 against the Saints, and hopefully he'll be fully healthy. I don't want to see this be something that it lingers, and I'd rather just let him get healthy and then start back fresh. All right, he's in there. He's ready to go. He's healthy. No problems he's dealing with. So that was great news because Trent Brown, if he was out for a long time, that really wouldn't have been great for us. I think if we do have him out this week, I think we could see Michael Onwenu go back to right tackle and throw in drawing a blank. Center we just signed from Miami, Ted Karras. Yep. Ted Karras, I think we could see him slide into left guard. And I mean, we saw Onwenu have success at that right tackle position last year. That's the spot he was comfortable. So I think we could see that maybe in practice this week and see them mix that up a little bit if Trent Brown is going to be out for a week or two, because I think that's a better use of our offensive line in total, because we have more depth at that guard position than at that tackle. But Trent Brown was the only one that was out that I saw with an injury. One thing I did want to mention real quick, and we might see this on the injury report, Dante Hightower looked like he came up a little limp a couple times later in that game, something with a leg maybe. So that's something I am watching for tomorrow on the injury report, seeing if he's been limited at all. You don't love to see that. His first game back, he missed a whole year of football. He lost some weight this offseason. He didn't have the best game himself. He looked like he wasn't the same guy as much. It's his first game, so I'm not concerned about it at all, but it did look like he was a little bit easier to block. He wasn't as good rushing the passer, and in the run game, he got pushed around a little bit, which isn't great to see, but it looked like he might have had a little leg injury, and we'll see if that pops up on the injury report at all.
Yeah, that's a big guy to get back, and hopefully we get him back. I don't know if he's a necessity against the Jets. Now, I don't want to take them lightly, but it could be worse if he goes out and he's not 100% and he re-aggravates it, and now he's missing extended time into week 5, 6, 7. That's not it. So that's scary. But let's get into our Q&A. Cole has thrown up a Q&A on his Instagram page, and you guys ask questions. So let's get to those. Cole, what's the first one that you want to answer?
All right. So the first one, let me pull this up real quick. So I know you're going to like this question, so I'll let you mostly touch on this, and I'll just I'll give my thoughts afterwards. But what's your way too early first round pick thoughts for next year?
All right, guys, you're going to
This one was from Huncho 13.
All right, guys, you're going to learn this about me real quick. I'm a huge draft buff guy. That's how me and Cole met, is on my podcast. I had him come on and talk about Patriots stuff. And I did that with a bunch of other Instagram pages, but I love the draft. So I'm constantly watching college football. I coach college football. I love evaluating it. But for me, my spot of need, the biggest spot that I think New England needs to address is the cornerback position. There's too many uncertainties out there with Stephon Gilmore and with JC Jackson. Now, I hope that is proved wrong and we can re-sign Stephon Gilmore, but I'm not banking on that. So my way too early draft pick for us, it depends on where we pick. Now, my dream scenario would be, and I might butcher this name, but it's Karar Elm out of Florida. He's a 6'2 cornerback. He's 193. He's got the length. We talked about why we'd want to see Jawan Williams come in and emerge as that cornerback too. It's because he's got length. This guy's 6'2. He's played lights out in the SEC. The last couple years, he's had last year he had 9 PBUs, 2 interceptions. His completion percentage against him was 42%. And his NFL, Pro Football Focus adjusts his NFL passer rating. So saying if he was in the NFL, it would have been a 65.8. Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys can't think off the head of who allows a 65.8 completion percentage, but don't worry, I have it for you. Jareer Alexander last year, 68.3. JC Jackson, 62.7. This guy's a lockdown corner, and he's playing in the SEC. Now, where I predicted New England to finish with our record, I don't think that he will be there for us if he continues to ball out. So another guy that I have pulled up that I really have my eye on is Ahmad Gardner. He's a 6'2 corner out of Cincinnati also. I think he'll be there in the mid to late 20s if that's where we're drafting, assuming we don't make a Super Bowl run. But that for me would be the pick that I have my eye on right now. Cincinnati, we all know they might have a chance at making the playoffs if they go perfect again, and depending on how good they are. But he's got the length too. It's another big bodied corner. And just talking about his stats last year, his projected NFL pass rate against him was 29.3. Now, I don't think that's going to carry over into the NFL. That's ridiculous numbers. And he's not playing at the SEC. They're playing in the AAC. Now they're going to be a Big 12 team, but he's got it. He allowed 40% completion percentage on him. He allowed 42 receptions on 104 targets. He had 3 interceptions. He's had 7 in his career. He had 6 pass breakups last year. So those are my 2 guys at the outside cornerback position I'm looking at. And then I don't need to say too much on this one, but everyone wants a receiver for New England. Either one of the Ohio State guys for me, Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, would be another dream scenario.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. I think that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking position wise. I don't know the players in college football nearly as well as you do. I don't watch it until kind of basically late in the year and then watch film on guys for like before the draft and stuff. But position wise, I think corner is definitely the biggest need. We have no idea if we're going to have JC Jackson or Stephon Gilmore next season. If we don't have either of those guys, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do. That we're going to get torched defensively and through the air. So we don't like to see that. We want to have a lockdown number 1 corner. Hopefully we can re-sign JC or Gilmore, one of those guys. But yeah, getting a cornerback in the first round next year, I think is priority number 1, because we addressed the defensive line. We addressed the defensive line, linebacker situation. Maybe we could go for a middle linebacker somewhere early in the draft as well. Just because Hightower, we don't know how long he has left. And then other than that, we have Jawan Bentley and maybe Anthony Jennings, but he's out all year this year. We don't really know how he's going to be next year. And another position that kind of depends how the health of our offensive line is this year is tackle. This is one thing that I thought we would draft this year just for depth and to give him a year to sit behind Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn. But if Isaiah Wynn has more injury troubles and struggles this year, we picked up his 5th-year option, so we'll have him next year. Trent Brown's on a 1-year deal with us this year. We don't know how long the future of those 2 tackles is in New England. Trent Brown obviously wants to be here, but if he wants to go get another bag and we don't pay him that, he might be gone, and then we need a right tackle. So I think looking at offensive tackle and cornerback could be 2 of the biggest ones that we could see on first round draft night. But another one that would be great, Chris Olave, getting a wide receiver, that'd be awesome. But we don't have the best history with first round wide receivers, so maybe we'll wait till the undrafted rounds when we pick up some of those small guys, former quarterbacks.
Fun fact, Chris Olave, his older brother is playing at the college I'm coaching at. Josh Olave is at Weber State, which is where I am. So there's some ties there. So I would love that. But you mentioned offensive tackle. I'll just throw out names. I'm not going to go in depth. But Daniel Falalele out of Minnesota. You talk about a mountain of a man. This guy started playing football in 2017. He's 6'9", 400 pounds. And he doesn't move he doesn't move like a 400 pounder. The dude is an absolute mountain. So that's one right there at offensive tackle that you were mentioning. And then a couple linebackers that I was going to pull up here. Nakobe Dean, he's out of Georgia. We all know the Georgia guys. And then another Alabama guy, Christian Harris. Like, it just seems like the Patriots can't go wrong with that. Dante Hightower was an Alabama guy. The SEC linebackers are just different. So there's a couple names out there for you guys to mention, or for you guys to look out for if you're into college football and watch it. Potential guys New England could target at any of those positions.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting to see. I mean, I love draft season as well, just because it's adding young talent, and you get to see the next generation of Patriots and players in this league. So it's always exciting. But kind of touching on that first corner that you mentioned, 6'2" guy. That's kind of one thing we've struggled with is we have Jonathan Jones, who's one of the best slot corners in the game. He takes care of the speed guys, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, those guys. That's kind of who he covers. But our corners have struggled a little bit more with guys like DK Metcalf, Devontae Parker, some of those guys that have more height and jump ball ability. Gilmore, you saw, had a deep one on him from DK Metcalf last year. JC Jackson, and both Gilmore and JC Jackson haven't had the best success against Devontae Parker, a guy who's a little bit bigger. So having a guy with some size who can be a lockdown corner would be a great contrast piece to Jonathan Jones and, say, JC Jackson or Gilmore if we keep one of those guys. So having a big 3 at corner with this defensive line and this linebacker group would make this defense just crazy good for the next few years. And just the young talent we have on that side of the ball and on the offense side of the ball as well. We got some young talent, but especially the defensive side of the ball, Christian Barmore, Josh Uche. We drafted a couple guys, linebacker in the 5th round. I'm excited about McGrone, Kyle Duggar. We got a bunch of talent on this team, and adding to that in the 1st round with a cornerback who's a shutdown corner, that'd be the cherry on top of this defense.
For sure. All right. Well, Cole, next question, and I'll let you take this one. I kind of talked a lot on that one, but I'll let you take this one.
You're all set. Actually, real quick, I just want to touch on one thing that I did forget about on the good list. This guy wasn't. I mean, he didn't flash necessarily to where I would put him on the good list, but he was almost on the good list for me. Was Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah,
just because if you look at his stats, he had not a lot of production, but he had like 3 plays called back that were like 20 yards where he created after the catch and connected with Mac Jones because of penalties. So I thought he really showed out. I just want to mention that. I wanted to give him his props because he really did play well, especially later in the game. He made some big plays with Mac. So that was one thing that I just wanted to mention because I had forgot about him. But let's do. What's your take on Josh McDaniel's play calling? Is it still good or has it been figured out? So I'll touch on this real quick. I think McDaniel is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. He knows what he's doing. The system, once we get to dive deeper into it, and once Matt continues to learn the playbook and the ins and outs and all our new pieces, we had Nelson Aguilar, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne. We had a lot of new guys offensively that all just got here this year. This playbook is a very diverse playbook with a lot of different ins and outs to it. These guys are just, diving into it. They just are starting to get to know the ins and outs of the playbook. So once they continue to learn more and more of this playbook and we just dive deeper and deeper in, I think Josh McDaniels is just going to have this book of weapons that he has in Jonnu, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, all these guys, Jacoby Myers, that he can use to their strengths and their advantages, along with a good running back group. I think Josh McDaniels is a great offensive play caller. I get frustrated once in a while with his third down calls. Last year we saw it. Just you do the same thing every third down. You do a run or a little screen pass, and they know what's coming every single time. This past game, I was a little frustrated with some of the toss plays that we had. I think we averaged like 1.5, 2 yards per carry on the toss plays, and he continued to call those late in the game in situations where Mac Jones had just completed 8 out of 10 passes and drove us down the field. And then we're calling a toss play that hasn't worked all game and continued to not work when he ran it. So there's moments like that where I get frustrated, but overall, you can't ask for much of a better play caller than Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I think that we were pretty slim on the playbook. I think Mac Jones threw it more than I thought he was, but I wasn't seeing New England just empty the bank on the playbook. It was a pretty, I'm not going to say thin because thin for the NFL is probably 80, 90 plays, but the whole playbook probably was not open in that game. And who knows how many different variations of routes or run scheme they actually got to. So, no, I don't think that the thing is Josh McDaniels is coached for so long in New England system. There's years of film that people can go back on. Like they're going to pick up tendencies that's every coach has them. So yeah, look at Sean McVay. His first year, he dominated the league and teams have kind of caught up to him too. They figured it out. So I just feel very comfortable with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. They're one of the best in-game adjusters. I think that's what separates them is maybe their scheme people are getting a hold of, but no one can adjust better than them. And no one has a feel that's better for the game when they go into the locker room or if it's, second, third quarter and they need to change something up.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with everything you said there. Let's I'll ask another one. We'll do 2 more. Should the Pats add more wide receiver depth and sign Josh Gordon? This one was from DumbX999.
It's interesting. I don't think we should sign Josh Gordon. Now, I was pretty surprised that we didn't activate someone off the practice squad like a Christian Wilkerson or someone like that for this game. Especially with there was a receiver that went down. Why am I drawing a blank? That wasn't going to play. Maybe I read something wrong. Oh, I'm thinking of Nelson Aguilar, right? Because if he wasn't going to play, I thought that they would definitely elevate one.
And the reason they didn't do that is because we only get 2 elevations, and we needed Brian Hoyer. We needed a backup quarterback, and then Nick Folk. So that was one thing that I thought was going to be kind of a balancing act, especially if Nelson Aguilar wasn't going to be healthy to play this game. We would have needed to elevate Wilkerson, and so that means either we're throwing our eggs in the basket of Quinn Nordine, or we don't have a backup quarterback. Obviously we're not going to do that. So I don't know. I don't really understand the whole situation where we have Nick. If Nick Folk's going to be our kicker, then elevate him and cut Quinn Nordine and bring him down to the practice squad. If nobody picks him up, hopefully nobody does. And Brian Hoyer not being on the roster, he's got to be on the roster. We need a backup quarterback. Just put him on the roster. there's got to be, we have one open roster spot currently. So if you throw him on the roster, that's 53 guys, and then make the Quinn Nordine and Nick Folk switch, and then we can elevate who we need on game day if we need somebody. So I don't really understand that, but yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need to bring in an outside receiver. Not yet. I mean, we're gonna get N'Keal Harry back hopefully after week 4, maybe week 3. It has to be week 4, right? Because
week 4 is the earliest he comes back. He should be good to go by then, though. So he should be healthy after week 2. So he should be good to go.
So we'll get him back, and he's on the roster, right? Like he's accounting for a roster spot. So we don't have to elevate him and drop someone to get him.
No, when he's on IR, he doesn't take up a roster spot. So he will when he comes back.
So we will have to cut someone, but we're gonna elevate him most likely. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's gonna come back, and maybe that's when the Quinn Nordine Nick Folk switch happens for good or something. So I'm just not ready to add another receiver yet. I really liked, like you said, what I saw late from Kendrick Bourne. Jacoby Myers is Jacoby Myers. Nelson Aguilar is going to be him, and then we're obviously going to be in 2 tight end sets. Most of the time, I think it was 70-something% of times, maybe even more than that last game. So I'm not ready to bring in an outside guy yet now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think we got enough at the position. I know a lot of people aren't excited about the group we have, but we got pieces that fit together, and it's going to be enough to succeed if we do enough things right and we just take care of the ball, win the turnover battle, play good defense. This team's going to be able to win football games with the wide receivers we have, with Nelson Aguilar. If he continues to play well, if these guys stay healthy and the tight ends stay healthy, this is a solid offense. It's not one of the top 5 offenses in the league. It's not the flashiest offense. It's going to be run the ball, short passes, hit your deep throws when they become available to you. But I think we're fine. I don't think we need to add anything. If anything, we need to add a corner because Gilmore's going to be out 6 weeks. That's really the only thing that I could see us adding. But I think I honestly don't see us making really many moves. I think this is kind of the team that we got and they got confidence in. If guys go down, guys get hurt, guys struggle, I can see us adding pieces, but I really don't think that we're going to add anybody at the wide receiver position anytime soon.
No.
Maybe towards like the trade deadline if these guys are struggling or hurt, but yeah, I don't see us adding that. And then we'll do one more from NE Pat's headline. Looking at it, was dropping Cam the right move?
I'm still not ready to comment on this one because I don't know. Now, I do believe that, and you mentioned this, and I hadn't thought of this before, but I do believe that it would have been a bit, there would have been conflict if Mac Jones started playing bad. Players and fans would have been like, well, put Cam Newton in. We want Cam Newton. Like, we want to see what he does. No. Once we went to Mac Jones, it was Mac Jones's team. Now, from a leadership standpoint, was it right? I don't know. And who knows what Cam Newton's mentality would have been as a backup quarterback. Now, everyone, maybe or maybe not, saw that video he put out on his YouTube, or they read things from it. And I just don't know how much I actually believe of that, or from the Patriots story. You really don't know the truth. What's the truth? It's hard to figure out what it is. So I'm not ready to comment on if that's the right move yet, because I see pros and I see cons from keeping him. And right now I'm focused on Mac Jones. It's his era. And I do believe that even in the back of my mind, who was a Mac Jones guy, like if Mac Jones started struggling, I know the first thing that would creep into my mind was like, well, let's give Cam Newton a shot. Maybe we should see what's going on. But now it's like, no, this is Mac's job. Like, let's focus on the good. Let's, critique him. And this is the future.
And I love that. The fact that they are putting all their confidence in Mac Jones and saying, hey, here, this is your team. Look who's behind you. Absolutely nobody. This is your team. We're riding with you. We're focused on making you the best player you can be, improving you week to week, making sure you know everything you need to do. You're having all the reps. It's going to make it a lot easier for him to have success without a guy and a former MVP lurking over his shoulder, even though Cam is not who he was when he was an MVP. My personal opinion, I think it was the right decision. Looking at it now, you know what I mean? It's, if you're going to make the transition at some point in the year and you think he's going to be ready sooner rather than later, having Cam Newton as a backup, yes, that's obviously a great situation. Having a guy with Cam's upside and talent as a backup, okay, that's great. But if it's going to hurt your overall starting quarterback in the long run, in the short term, game to game, week to week, if it's going to cause frustration in the locker room, hey, there's going to be Cam guys, there's going to be Mac guys. It's not what you want in a locker room, especially with a rookie quarterback who has enough on his plate, enough to focus on. It's his job. He's the guy. He's the future. let's focus on him. Let's get him better week to week. We're game planning with him. We're riding with Mac. So I think it was the right decision. I'm excited for what this team can be. Obviously, maybe Cam Newton would have first 4 games, maybe Cam would have been a better quarterback. But based off last game, I don't even know if that's true. I thought Mac was really great, and I thought he made a lot of decisions and a lot of throws that Cam wouldn't have made. And I think going back and watching week 1 and one of the later weeks when we played Miami and lost, Mac Jones did a better job setting protection and getting the ball out than Cam Newton did both games last year. And this was his first game as a rookie. And I think it's super impressive. I'm riding with Mac. I think it was the right decision. I can't wait to see him continue to progress, see what we got coming up next week against the Jets, and then continue on throughout the year. There's a lot of matchups I'm really excited about, and just watching him continue to progress.
For sure. Well, next week against the Jets, it's in New York, right?
Yep.
So I think I saw we are 6-point favorites right now, and I think the spread or the over-under is at 42. So maybe people are thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game. Obviously, New England's favored. Hopefully, we can go out, get our first road win in division. It's going to be fun watching first of many battles between, Mac and Zach Wilson. I'm a big Zach Wilson guy too, being from Utah, a BYU guy. I played high school 7-on-7 against him. So I'm rooting for him, even though he's on the Jets. I don't want to see the Jets succeed, but I want to see him succeed. So it's a weird dynamic, but yeah, go Patriots. Hopefully we can take advantage of a little banged up offensive line. I know Mekhi Becton won't be in, but we'll get into that. Make sure you guys tune into our pregame pregame episode, I guess, whenever we do that, probably Thursday. But Cole, I'll let you take us out.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Big game coming up this weekend. Another division game. I am excited to see Zach Wilson. He's a talented kid. He's got a lot of special abilities, and he had a lot of flashes last game against the Panthers. He had some things he struggled with. He had some things that were really good, but we'll dive deep into that game probably Thursday night. But yeah, that's it for this episode. If you guys haven't already, hit subscribe, like, wherever you're listening. We'll have that episode for you probably Thursday afternoon. But yeah, until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.